HOA queen steals my land, but my stray dog delivers epic payback. Imagine inheriting a slice of untamed wilderness, pouring your soul into building a humble retreat from a world that already chewed you up and spit you out, only for some power-hungry busybody in stilettos to waltz in and declare it all non-compliant with her made-up rules. That's the nightmare that slammed into Jack Harlan's life like a freight train, turning his quiet forest haven into a battlefield of bureaucratic absurdity. But oh, the sweet, savage irony when his loyal mutt turns detective and unmasks the HOA tyrant's web of lies, leaving her empire in ruins and the internet howling with memes. Jack Harlan wasn't always the guy holed up in a cedar cabin deep in the North Carolina backwoods, sipping black coffee on a porch that creaked like an old man's joints. No, back in his 30s, he was just another casualty of the American dream gone sour. A messy divorce that left him stripped bare, financially and emotionally. His ex-wife, bless her heart, didn't just take the house and the kids. She took his dignity too, parading off with the landscaper who'd been trimming their hedges for years. He mowed my lawn, then mowed my marriage, Jack would mutter to himself in those dark days, nursing a bottle of bottom-shelf whiskey that tasted like regret. The courts? They carved him up like a discount turkey, handing her 70% of everything and full custody, with Jack reduced to supervised visits where some social worker eyed him like he might spontaneously combust. He spiraled hard booze for breakfast, a buddy's ratty trailer couch for a bed, and a beard that screamed, "I've given up." But fate, that fickle joker, tossed him a lifeline. A letter from a lawyer in Orange County. His grizzled old grandpa, the one who'd taught him to swing a hammer and spot a liar from a mile away, had kicked the bucket and left him 80 acres of raw, forgotten forest. No neighbors breathing down his neck. No HOA nitpicking his mailbox color. Just pines whispering secrets and dirt roads that GPS apps pretended didn't exist. Jack stared at that letter through bloodshot eyes, the bourbon bottle sweating in his grip, and something snapped. Not in a bad way, but like a thunderclap of clarity. Screw it, he thought. I'll build my own damn life, nail by nail. He loaded his pickup with tools, a generator, and enough stubbornness to fuel a small army, and headed out to where the pavement faded into gravel, then into nothing. The land didn't judge him for his failures. It just waited, patient as an old oak. He cleared a spot by hand, sweat stinging his eyes, muscles howling in protest. Poured a foundation on days when the sun baked him like a forgotten loaf. When cash ran thin, he bartered, scavenged, and improvised. Cedar beams he felled himself, stones stacked into walls that could withstand a hurricane or a heartbreak. No fancy contractors. Just Jack, his blisters, and a quiet rage that turned into resolve. By the end of that first brutal winter, with the generator coughing like a chain smoker and frost turning his breath to clouds inside the half-built cabin, he had walls. Come spring, a roof. Summer brought a porch where he could sit and pretend the world hadn't curb-stomped him. It wasn't pretty, no granite counters or smart fridges, but it was real, heavy with the weight of his own hands. And that's when Max showed up. But peace in America? It's as fragile as a HOA covenant written in disappearing ink. One crisp Wednesday morning, with the sky obnoxiously blue like it was mocking him, Jack heard the crunch of tires on gravel. Not the rumble of a neighbor's rusty Ford, but the precise purr of something expensive and entitled. Max's ears perked first, a low growl rumbling in his chest like distant thunder. Jack set down his axe, heart kicking up dust, and watched a gleaming black SUV slide into view, spotless as if it had been detailed by angels. The door swung open and out stepped her, Karen Whitaker, HOA president of the so-called prestigious Ridgemont Estates, a subdivision that had crept closer over the years like a bad rash. Platinum blonde hair helmeted against any breeze, blazer sharp as a shark's fin, heels sinking into the dirt like they were staking a claim. She scanned Jack's cabin with the disdain of a health inspector at a dive bar. "Mr. Harlan, I presume?" she said, her voice all clipped efficiency, like she was reading from a teleprompter scripted by corporate overlords. Jack wiped sawdust from his hands. "That's me. And you are." She thrust a folder at him like it was a royal decree. "Karen Whitaker, president of Ridgemont Homeowners Association. Your structure here is in flagrant violation of our zoning covenants." non-compliant exterior materials, unauthorized solar installations, and let's not even start on that eyesore of a porch. Jack blinked, the words landing like a bad joke. Lady, this land's been in my family since before your HOA was a twinkle in some developer's eye. I'm not part of your little club. Her smile was all teeth, no warmth, like a shark pretending to be friendly. Oh, but you are now, Mr. Harlan. Last year's annexation petition was approved. The county signed off. Your property falls under our jurisdiction. You have 14 days to comply or vacate. Think of it as community improvement. She glanced at Max, who was eyeing her like she was a suspicious squirrel, and added, "And that dog? Leash laws apply. We can't have strays lowering property values." Jack almost laughed, but the folder in his hand felt like lead maps, stamps, legalese designed to bury folks like him. As she clicked back to her SUV in those ridiculous heels, leaving a trail of smug exhaust, Max let out a single indignant bark. Jack muttered, "Yeah, buddy, what she said." But inside, the old fire stirred. He'd been no before, in divorce court whispers calling him unstable, unfit. He'd stayed silent then, observing, waiting. This time, same playbook. He wouldn't rage. He'd watch, plan, and strike smart. The next few weeks turned Jack's sanctuary into a siege zone, with Karen's absurdity ramping up like a bad sitcom scripted by control freaks. First came the courtesy letters, glossy mailers citing violations for everything from unapproved foliage, aka the natural pines, to excessive wildlife activity, deer tracks, apparently a crime. Jack ignored them, but the whispers started. Neighbors in Ridgemont, those cookie-cutter McMansion dwellers, buzzing on their community app about that hillbilly holdout dragging down our prestige. Karen, ever the maestro of manipulation, posted sanctimonious updates. As your HOA president, I'm committed to upholding standards that protect our investments. Some outliers resist progress, but Trat 2 must prevail, for the greater good. Jack, scrolling on his spotty satellite connection, rolled his eyes. Greater good, my ass. That's code for my way or the highway. But he didn't bite publicly. Instead, he called Paul Reynolds, his old patent lawyer buddy from South Carolina. A guy with a drawl like warm honey but a mind like a bear trap. "Paul, some HOA harpies trying to annex my land with forged paperwork. Smells fishy." Paul chuckled slow. "Send it over. I love me some bureaucratic BS to unravel." While Paul dug into county records, Karen escalated. One evening, Jack found survey stakes hammered into his property line, red flags fluttering like victory banners. Max sniffed them suspiciously, then hiked his leg and marked one as his own. "Good boy," Jack grinned. But the real kicker? Karen showed up again, this time with a clipboard brigade, 2 lackeys in polo shirts emblazoned Ridgemont Compliance Team. "Mr. Harlan," she cooed, voice dripping false sympathy. "We're here to inspect for code adherence. Your cabin's rustic charm is quaint, but our covenants require modern amenities. No offense." Jack crossed his arms. "Offense taken. This ain't your jurisdiction." One lackey piped up, "Ma'am, look at this wiring, solar? That's not grid approved." Karen nodded gravely. "Hazardous. We'll have to fine you $500 per day until remedied." Jack's jaw tightened, but he kept cool. "Fine me? For living off-grid? That's rich coming from folks whose McMansions guzzle power like it's free." She waved it off. "Rules are rules, Mr. Harlan. They're there to protect everyone, even you." As they left, Max growled low, and Jack whispered, "Easy boy, we'll get him." Paul's call came 2 days later. "Jack, sit tight. That annexation? No vote record. The approval letters signed by a clerk who retired 5 years ago. Forged as hell." Jack's blood hummed. "So she's bluffing? Worse. She's building something on your land's edge. A fancy villa. No permits. I smell kickbacks." Jack glanced at the ridge, where construction noise had started echoing. Time to observe closer. That night, under cover of dark, Jack rigged Max with a harness cam. A cheap GoPro knockoff. "Go play detective, buddy." Max, ever the pro, trotted off into the woods, returning with footage of chainsaws chewing trees on what was supposedly protected watershed. But the gem? A clip of Karen on site, barking at workers. Hurry up! Once this villa's up, that redneck's cabin will look like trash by comparison. Property values soar. My commission skyrockets. Jack smirked at the screen. Gotcha, you phony. The Mia my hit hard, her preaching trat too, while breaking every rule. But Jack held his cards close, letting her dig deeper. The powder keg ignited when Karen's next move crossed into farce. She petitioned the county for an emergency compliance order, claiming Jack's cabin was a public nuisance breeding feral animals. Read, Max and some squirrels. At the hearing, a stuffy room packed with Ridgemont residents nodding like bobbleheads. Karen took the stand in her power suit, voice quivering with feigned concern. Ladies and gentlemen, as HOA president, I've dedicated years to fostering a community of excellence. But Mr. Harlan's unauthorized dwelling threatens our harmony. His dog roams unchecked, potentially rabid. Jack, in the back row, bit his tongue as murmurs rippled. Paul leaned in. Her act's Oscar-worthy. Too bad it's all smoke. When Jack's turn came, he kept it simple. This land's mine, deed clear. No annexation vote ever happened. Karen interjected. Objection. He's slandering our democratic process. The judge sighed. This is a hearing, not law and order. But the real bomb dropped when Paul presented the footage. The room hushed as Max's cam rolled. Karen's villa rising illegally, her voice booming. Screw the watershed regs. I'll bury the paperwork. Gasps echoed. Karen's face flushed beet red. That's doctored. Invasion of privacy. Paul smiled sweetly. Ma'am, public land ain't private. And your democratic process? Forged signatures from dead notaries. Chaos erupted. Residents whispering. She rigged the election too? Karen sputtered. This is outrageous. I'm protecting values. But the judge banged his gavel. Bail denied. Ms. Whitaker, you're detained pending fraud charges. As deputies cuffed her, she hissed at Jack. You'll regret this, you backwoods nobody. Max, waiting outside, thumped his tail like he knew the score. But the hilarity peaked post-hearing. County inspectors reviewed Karen's villa. No permits on protected land? Demolition order signed. Jack nodded. Schedule it. Come Monday, excavators roared in, Paul filming like a director. The foreman grinned at Jack. Your call, sir. With a nod, the bucket swung. Glass shattering, walls crumpling. Her hot tub imploding like a deflated ego. Karen's empire turned to rubble in hours. Max, from the truck, watched impassively, then hopped out and peed on the debris pile. The crew howled with laughter. Poetic justice. Paul caught it on tape. From jail, Karen's lawyers flung motions. Structural copyright violation. Performance art diaries. Dog cam privacy breach. Paul swatted them down. Crime ain't art, lady. Feds piled on shell companies. Laundered funds through fake dog poop dispensers. Laundering via crap, Paul quipped. Fitting. Her spreadsheet leaked. 34 families ruined by bogus fines. A heart surgery patient annotated push harder. Weak. Public outrage boiled. Memes of Max in shades. Justice dog sniffs out fraud. Karen became a punchline. Her leaked video ranting about Max rejecting her bribes. Gourmet treats. And he pees on them. On purpose. Late-night hosts joked. If a mutt's your nemesis, check the mirror. Animal cruelty charges sealed it. Tampered toys laced with sedatives. Even HOA haters rallied. Ridgemont dissolved in shame, lawsuits flying. Jack's cabin stood tall, but the real win? Turning her scar into Max's meadow. A dog park with agility courses, benches, and a sign. All good dogs welcome, except Karen's. In the end, as Jack scratched Max's ears by the fire, the woods whispering approval, life settled into a rhythm sweeter for the scars. Neighbors dropped pies, kids idolized Max, and Cody Day, Max Day became an annual bash. Pups romping, cakes shaped like hydrants, Paul speechifying about justice on 4 legs. The land exhaled, free from Karen's grip. But here's the kicker that lingers. Was Karen the true villain? Born of a system that rewards control freaks with unchecked power? Or did the HOA machine create her, turning ordinary folks into tyrants just to keep the lawns uniform?